Hispanic Lifestyle is pleased to have the support of Wells Fargo Bank. For more information, visit their website at wellsfargo.com. With roughly 60 million Latinos in the U.S., we highlight Latinas of influence, businesses surviving to thrive. We talk culture, travel, health, wellness, music, entertainment, and of course, food. Our passion is to share inspiring stories with the community. I'm Richard Sandoval, and this is Hispanic Lifestyle. You don't mind if I call you Andy?
Please do.
Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about your background. You mentioned earlier off camera the trajectory, if you will, of your career. A lot of the things really interest me, but one is, of course, your time in supplier diversity, and we'll get into supporting small and local businesses.
Absolutely, but if you don't mind, can I call you Richard? Richard.
I have no problem with anybody calling me Richard.
Richard, I took the time to go on your Hispanic Lifestyle website and really perused it, and nice job. And I saw on there, one of the first people I saw on there was Edward James Olmos and your interview with him. And that took me back, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this. It took me back to
Hispanic Lifestyle is pleased to have the support of Wells Fargo Bank. For more information, visit their website at wellsfargo.com. With roughly 60 million Latinos in the U.S., we highlight Latinas of influence, businesses surviving to thrive. We talk culture, travel, health, wellness, music, entertainment, and of course, food. Our passion is to share inspiring stories with the community. I'm Richard Sandoval, and this is Hispanic Lifestyle. You don't mind if I call you Andy?
Please do.
Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about your background. You mentioned earlier off camera the trajectory, if you will, of your career. A lot of the things really interest me, but one is, of course, your time in supplier diversity, and we'll get into supporting small and local businesses.
Absolutely, but if you don't mind, can I call you Richard? Richard.
I have no problem with anybody calling me Richard.
Richard, I took the time to go on your Hispanic Lifestyle website and really perused it, and nice job. And I saw on there, one of the first people I saw on there was Edward James Olmos and your interview with him. And that took me back, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this. It took me back to my time. I was born and raised in East Los Angeles. I went to Garfield High School. And if you know where I'm going with this, Edward James Olmos played an important role of Professor Teacher Jaime Escalante with AP Calculus. I was one of his students. I was a student of Jaime Escalante back in the days in the 80s. And I really, got this kid from East LA, anything can happen. But math was my savior. And I tell people, math really put me in a path of success. And so I credit that background and that teacher to put me on that trajectory on success. And then I went on and graduated from Cal State Northridge with a mechanical engineering degree and landed in energy all my career. I was with the City of LA with the Department of Water and Power, and then transitioned over to SoCal Gas, which, by the way, come January, it'll be 20 years, 2 decades. I can't believe it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've had quite a bit of careers in SoCal Gas. I mean, so I described currently the vice president, but I've had some time in our commercial marketing department, our supplier diversity department, as well as public affairs.
Well, I usually start off this conversation with the times that we're at, that we're living in, and that being COVID-19 and the effects of it. I hope your family is well, and but I also want to talk about the fact that you're in a leadership position. The things Southern California Gas Company is doing to support local organizations, small businesses, and of course, diverse businesses.
Yeah, thank you for that. Let's not forget we're still in the middle of this unfortunate pandemic event that has affected many people. I have personal friends and others who had the misfortune of losing loved ones, and I think we can't forget that this is real. And hence, why we're both working from home or wherever folks are working. We do still have folks working, coming into today, going to work every day. To make sure that, at least for SoCal Gas, those essential workers are keeping the gas flowing for your warm showers and cook your food and all that good stuff. I can tell you that from the get-go, the very beginning, we knew that we needed to step up. And I knew that I'd had a very pivotal opportunity and position to make a difference. And so we stepped in right away. We had a incident command structure set up so that we could navigate through the response, right? So that we can continue to have the people who can work from home, and they really set up those safety procedures and focus for our essential workers to continue to show up and provide the service that all our customers are relying on. And so the one thing that we did is we suspended any disconnections, right? We said, hey, we know if you're going to be home, regardless of your status, of what's happening in your work life, if you lost your job or if you got cut in hours or can't go to work, we're not going to cut you off. And I think that was important. That set the stage and kind of the focus of where we needed to be, right? And then the other thing that we did is we stepped up and said, community, where do you need us? So from our northern part of our service territory up in southern Fresno to the Mexican border, we went out and looked at what needs were going to be the most focused on. And we knew that workforce was going to be important. We knew that feeding the community was going to be important. And we knew that looking at economic development was just as important. And then with those who couldn't pay their bill, we were going to give assistance. So we focused on those particular areas, those 4 areas. And we spent, just SoCal Gas, over $2.4 million from the get-go, not to mention our parent company, Sempra, who had some additional almost $13 million in that same focus. But it was important that, we, as we normally do year after year, is that we step up our partnership.
Well, it's much appreciated, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. But thank you for reminding me. I do need to pay my bill. I'll get on that right after this conversation.
Sure, you can do it online, by the way.
Oh yeah, what would that website be?
It's SoCalGas.com. Easy as that.
Well, speaking of being online, the other day I was scrolling through some emails and followed up on something that I thought was bizarre, having been a customer for years, but talking about eliminating gas from my ecosystem. I have a gas range. Is this going to happen? And if so, why? And give me some background, if you will.
Yeah, Richard, thank you for that question. I think it's important to just level set. The state of California has some very aggressive climate change goals, the reduction of greenhouse gases and pollutants. And I think one of those things that it's going to take the entire state and those who are consumers, utilities, and others to really address. And one of the thoughts that is being thrown out there is really eliminating natural gas and the usage of the production of electricity, transportation, and even the building sector. We are looking at ways to make sure that folks are educating, beginning with our regulators, beginning with our elected officials at the state level, at the local level, to say, hold on, there is no secret one path silver bullet to this. I think if we really have to address the issue of climate change and greenhouse gas reduction, we got to take it all on, meaning all of us have to be able to bring to the table what we can all do to bring attention and reduction of that goal, quite simply put. And I don't have to tell you that, last week, and even prior to that, it was the perfect storm. You had fire season upon us, right? You've seen the wildfire. You've seen the rolling blackout. You've seen the rolling blackouts that haven't occurred, by the way, Richard, in 2 decades, for 20 years. And we've seen cloud cover, where we know that the renewable energy space along solar and wind is very important, and we support it. But we know when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow, you still need to be able to flip that switch, right? And so what we're saying is that we are part of the solution and not part of the problem. We can address the carbonization of our fuel, and we're doing that, by the way. Very exciting things happening along the renewable natural gas. Think about that. Collecting renewable gas that normally is going to go up to atmosphere, which is methane, is what we're talking about, right? Capturing it and using it as energy. And then if you think about the next iteration of that is hydrogen. The rest of the world has adopted hydrogen to fuel their transportation fleets, to fuel their homes, to fuel their buildings. And we're saying, hold on, state of California, let's think collectively. And by the way, Richard, I'm a dad, and I got some kids also who are on that spectrum where they're currently marching for justice, as they should, marching for change, which they should. And I know for a fact that doing the path of all-inclusive is the right thing to do. Not because I work for the gas company, because it's the right thing to do for my kids, their future kids, my parents. I live here too. And so I think it's an all-inclusive approach, something that will require everybody and everything to put on the table to address.
But I always thought it was interesting, and again, I'm a junkie for information, kind of that underneath, just right underneath the headline kind of stuff, and that is Southern California Edison is one of your largest clients. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're one of our largest customers, yes, consuming natural gas through the production of electricity, which, by the way, you mentioned the cloud cover. During this high peak demand, it was up to 60%, 60, that natural gas came in when the renewables didn't have the output for whatever reason to have those electrons flow. And so that was there. We came in. We know that renewables are important. They should be. We should still focus on that. You need that backbone, and I think it comes hand in hand.
Well, backbone, I also look at it as the backup. I mean, what are you going to do if, God forbid, that we get into some situation where the lights aren't working? We're so reliant on our phones. At least, we still need to be able to eat and heat up things and stay warm. So there's a lot of components that go in that we just take for granted in our daily lives.
Can I share something with you, Richard? I think that's kind of exciting, super exciting, because you mentioned the basics, and that's what it's really about, right? Some actually people's lives depend on it, right? Whether you have a breathing machine, whether you're in a assisted living facility, those are super important. You and I can withstand the heat and be without lights and for a while. The other folks, their life depends on it. There's some technologies that we're looking at today that I want you to know that's pretty exciting. It's not futuristic. Whether you look at hydrogen fuel cells or fuel cells powered by currently natural gas, if you will, that there's no combustion. You have the ability to create your own power grid and still keep the lights on. And we just finished cutting the ribbon on a couple of those exciting projects at two of our facilities, which are data centers that keep the business going. And I'm excited to say that, these potentials exist for businesses. And it's a green technology. We talk about green jobs for the future, for young folks to think about that development. Some kid in the garage has the ability to even take this even further. And so as we focus on this, we want to think about the future, because you asked me, what does it look like? Or what can it look like in 10, 20 years from now? It's going to be amazing.
As we're finding out now, so many of us dine out 2 or 3 times a week. We haven't been now since the quarantine and stay-at-home orders and such.
Yeah.
But we're finding the fact that even some of these restaurants, get this, are moving their seating outside. They're having to be more mobile in what it is they're doing. Again, can you talk a little bit about the restaurant industry, which I know you're a member of, one of their associations, and really paint a look into your crystal ball and tell me what the future looks like with gas.
Sure, absolutely. And thank you for mentioning that. We'll give a little plug for the Latino Restaurant Association, which I'm a member of. Yeah, thanks for looking at that background. I think it's important to support diverse businesses. I really think one of the opportunities, and you know this, Richard, of the Latino community is entrepreneurship. One of the things that we're really creative and will jump on is entrepreneurship. I know my parents did. My parents were small business owners. So I was raised by a small business owner. So I know the daily struggles and the focus that goes into that. And for restaurants, it is absolutely a preferred fuel of natural gas. I mean, just culturally speaking, Latinos recognize that cooking with an open flame is important, whether if you're making your abuelita's favorite burnt chili salsa, or whether you're doing an open comal with tortillas. The open flame is huge. But guess what? We can decarbonize that flame to utilize renewable natural gas and still have the output of what we are used to. That doesn't diminish the fact that you can still own that restaurant, that you can still open up and have those flavors that you and I are used to, and our Latino community, and those who are fond of that food. It's important. On the focus of workforce development, what we've done is we recognize that the restaurants are in dire straits right now. We knew that we needed to partner feeding the frontline workers with an opportunity to keep those restaurants busy. So we teamed up with the Latino Restaurant Association, also with other organizations that said, hey, if you can build a partnership with local restaurants, feed hospital workers, feed utility workers, feed first line responders, and keep this going, we could at least have a sense of some employment, some entrepreneurship staying above water. And I think it was important.
No, I really applaud you for all of that. I'm in Menifee, California, and I know you guys have done some things in Riverside, throughout the state, really, in supporting that. And that is something I've written about and encouraged. How can corporations support local businesses and keeping them? Because I know a lot of our municipalities or cities have been trying to do as much as they can, but everybody has limited funds and budgets. So again, really, I appreciate and recognize what it is you guys have done. I want to talk a little bit about the families that are having a tough time making it financially. And can you talk a little bit about your care program? Is that still in existence? To what level? And really, when? This is what I always like to tell people, don't wait till the last minute. When should you start applying and getting into the system? And take me through the process, if you will.
One of the things that is very important, and it's a pride for me, is to say, hey, listen, we have opportunities and programs and services regardless of your income, right? Whether you're buying a new piece of appliance for your home, look at our rebates. Let's get you money, but let's get some efficiency. But if you are down on your luck, or you have low income, or you have a large family, whatever it may be, or you've just run into some current hard times, there are programs for you on the utility space. And guess what, Richard? There's some populations that never had to look at these programs. Let's be honest. If you are first hearing that you're going to be laid off, if you have lost your job, if you have had your income slashed, or you have now had to take on additional family members, and now you're having to look at feeding more people or housing more people, come to us. We will look at your qualifications right away. And that CARE program provides a 20% discount to your utility bills. And we know typically during the summertime, it gets lower. But come wintertime, come heating season, it can be significant, right? Especially if we have a cold snap. So you should look to your utility, look to SoCal Gas to provide you as soon as you have any change in your income from day one. And we'll help you out. And again, that's SoCalGas.com /care, CARE.
The reality of this COVID-19 and this pandemic is that this is going to be going on for a while. So again, Andy, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I will ask you and everyone else out there, continue to be safe, continue to be healthy, and please, Richard, have me back whenever time allows.
Didn't get enough? There's always more at HispanicLifestyle.com, and follow us on your favorite social media platform.